Good morning, everyone. I look forward to this time together every week so we can connect for a time of reflection. Though we are apart physically, we are certainly proving that we are not alone by coming together in spirit. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northern Nevada, where our mission is to grow together in love, faith, justice, and joy. My name is Carrie DeBarger, and I'm so grateful to be your worship associate today. We've asked everyone to stay home and view or hear us on your personal devices via this Zoom call. Know that we still welcome all to be part of our community, regardless of racial identity, age, economic circumstances, immigration status, sexual orientation, or gender identity, because it is important now more than ever to come together, accept people, and be kind to those around you. If this is your first time at a UUFNN service, welcome, and we are glad to have you. Feel free to contact our office for more information or our website, where you can also download a newcomer form. You can sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date on all the activities here at UUFNN. You may notice on the top of your screen, there's a speaker or gallery view option. You can switch back and forth throughout the service to view as you like. You will remain muted throughout the entire service, but you can make comments in the chat box at any time, specifically during joys and concerns. Immediately after the service, you will be invited to stay on for a virtual coffee hour in breakout small groups. And once again, thank you for being with us.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Grace Moore, and my pronouns are she and her. In this time of unprecedented uncertainty, I started to envision my own ability to manage that uncertainty as if it were a bucket that had been filled to overflowing, first by the COVID-19 crisis and later by civic unrest related to the resulting economic crisis, and then as well as George Floyd's death. I realized that for me to find a new functional equilibrium, I either needed to find ways to lessen that uncertainty or find ways to build a bigger bucket. This realization alone has helped me to feel more in control and in balance. Since then, my uncertainty bucket has been more manageable with the help of some basic grounding practices like mindfulness and exercise. And my bucket capacity has increased greatly, actually, from my connection to this UU community and our call to social justice action. Today, I welcome you all to our Sunday service and invite you to examine your own uncertainty buckets and how you can contribute to your journey towards balance and growth during this time of ongoing uncertainty.
Now I will invite you to light your chalice if you wish. Here's mine for today. The words are Prayer for Living Tension by Joseph M. Cherry. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving.
Not hearing you, Bill. Still not hearing you. We're getting feedback, but no sound.
That should kill it. Not up yet. I think we got it. All right. Thank you for your patience, everybody.
No, you're good.
Got it? Yeah. All right, here we go. I'd hammer in the morning, hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out a warning, I'd hammer about the love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. A bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd ring out a warning, I'd ring in the love between my brothers and my sisters. all over this land. Oh, I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing it in danger, I'd sing out a warning, I'd sing in the love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. I got a hammer, and I've got a bell to ring, and I've got a song all over this land. It's a hammer of justice, it's a bell of freedom, it's a song about the love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land.
I feel like my time on this planet has been extremely chaotic climate-wise. When I arrived 16 years ago, the evidence of global warming had already been around for 30 years. The year I was born, 2004, the Wall Street Journal warned the public that the next 20 years would be full of global weather catastrophes. They were right. In my short lifetime, the US has been hit by 200 Atlantic storms, the one that remains strongest in my memory, Hurricane Harvey. In my short lifetime, global warming has been responsible for the deaths of 2.5 million people. And in just my short lifetime, several million acres of my own home state, Nevada, have been burned by wildfires. Yikes, now that makes you want to take action, right? And yet today, we are still faced with extreme weather disasters and rising global temperatures that have been around 3 times as long as I have. Growing up, I witnessed some pretty bad climate-related incidents. To name a few, in 4th grade, the rim fire in Yosemite, spread quickly by drought, generated so much smoke that recess was canceled at school, and sports practices were canceled because of unhealthy air. This particular fire burned for over a year before it was put out. That's 6% of my lifetime. In 7th grade, school was closed for several days because the Truckee River was flooding after an excessive amount of snow and rainfall. Overall, my life has been full of drought, extremely hot summers, and both local and global climate disasters. But possibly the most horrifying climate disaster I've been alive for is the COVID-19 pandemic. This pandemic might not be a traditional climate disaster, but I see its effects pretty clearly. It starts off with small things. For example, since school is closed, our environmental club is closed, and we had several trash cleanups scheduled that have all been canceled. There was a climate strike planned in March downtown, and of course, that too has been canceled. Another example on a larger scale is that once again, the issue of climate action on the federal level has been put on the back burner to make room for Congress to address the pandemic. Climate advocacy has never been easy as a young person, but it has been made 10 times more challenging because of this pandemic. I feel forced to advocate for climate action. No, I don't want to have to fight for my right to a clean earth and a healthy environment. And no, I definitely don't want my generation alone to bear the weight of an incredibly vast and overwhelming problem. That's why I need your help. 2020 is a critical year for climate action. We still have the power to do something, but every day we lose valuable time. This needs to be the year for comprehensive, cooperative climate action before we're out of time completely. We can use this time as an opportunity, as a wake-up call. During this pandemic, it becomes more necessary than ever to fight for climate action and get something done. I've seen people unite behind other causes recently, and it has shown me that we can unite against climate change as well. But most importantly, 2020 is an election year. I'm not 18 yet, so this is where my role falls short. It's your job as an adult to vote for the candidates who will act on climate change. And in this way, you are advocating for my generation when we can't advocate for ourselves. In the next few weeks, I will be getting my driver's license. I will be handed control of a 1,000-pound vehicle that has the potential to seriously injure or even kill myself and others. A vehicle that has very clear and detrimental effects on the environment because of carbon emissions. That's an enormous responsibility to give to a teenager. But you know what else is a big responsibility? Reversing decades of climate neglect that happened before I was born. That's why we don't just need youth involved in climate advocacy. We need the young, old, and middle-aged working together. These words are not just my reflection. They are my call to action. When I grow up, I'll be telling my kids that I lived through the COVID-19 pandemic and that I was actively part of the prevention. And I'd like to tell them the same thing about climate change too. Now is the time, regardless of a pandemic, to act on climate by advocacy, collaboration, and most importantly, voting. Thank you. Now we move on to the time in our service when we have the opportunity to share our bounty with UUFNN through the offering. Since we are not physically together to pass the basket, we can do so virtually by texting the number 73256 with the message UUFNN, then follow the instructions to provide your offering. You can also contribute by mailing a check to the office at 780 Del Monte Lane, Reno 89511. The slickest and cleanest way to donate is to sign up for automatic giving. You can contact the office and Carol will send you an automatic draft authorization form. If you wish, you can designate your offering to our Share the Plate recipient action. Thank you for your generosity. I've grown up in this congregation, and I know it is a safe place for me to express my beliefs and be heard and respected. Being a part of UU has shaped me into who I am today and opened my eyes to a world of opportunity. That is why it is so important to me that we keep the UUFNN up and running. It is in these hard times when the strength of our congregation shines through. Our members have come together to help our community and bend the arc of the universe, all while staying safe. I'm eternally grateful for the staff and volunteers who are working so hard behind the scenes to keep the wheels turning as we move through this time together. I appreciate Reverend Karen and the board for keeping us safe and being a part of the prevention rather than the spread. Thank you to everyone who has stepped forward to make sure our fellowship is financially secure in these uncertain times. We are aware that there are some who cannot make a financial commitment at this time because of the current situation. So I urge those who can to please contribute beyond your pledge. I'm feeling positive that with all of us stepping up, we'll be stronger than ever. Thank you for taking care of our beloved community. Now let the offering begin. Please join me now in blessing these offerings to the work of this fellowship, which is helping more people grow in love, faith, justice, and joy. We dedicate ourselves and these our offerings.
Pues aquí tenemos las muestras que hemos tenido de los animales que se nos han muerto. Aquí está, pues, miren, prácticamente, pues, todo un esqueleto donde no tenían que comer. La tierra está seca, que no hay humedad para la planta, porque hubo poca lluvia.
Siempre nosotros hemos vivido del campo, siempre nos hemos mantenido de lo que cosechamos. De ahí sacamos para comprar los demás alimentos.
Antes yo cosechaba 3, 4, 5, 6 toneladas de maíz y frijol. Y ahora como ya nada, no llueve.
Por toda la sequía que se nos ha venido de años con año, ya tenemos bastantes años. Desgraciadamente, así estamos.
Cuando no hay cosecha, pues tenemos que salir fuera a buscar la manera de cómo vivir. Por ejemplo, aquí en nuestra comunidad, ahorita vemos un monto de 1,600 habitantes. Estamos hablando ya de unos 2 años y medio para atrás, habíamos como unos 4,800 habitantes y toda esa gente nos está yendo de aquí.
Por cuestión de lo que dicen allá los científicos, de que hay un cambio, que hay todo, pues no hay necesidad de que lo veamos allá de los científicos, que nos digan. Lo estamos viendo personalmente aquí, que no nos llueve.
Pues yo al ver mío, yo lo miro que al paso de que vamos, yo creo que vamos a llegar a un pueblo fantasma.
Good morning. My name is Philip Moore, and my personal pronouns are he, his, and him. Pictured behind me, if you can see me, I'm still showing Carrie for some reason, is the Nevada Youth Climate Strike in September here in Reno. You know, I feel lost and confused. How should I, how can I move forward in the world with so little certainty? How can I focus on the climate with so many others issues pursuing us in a more urgent manner? How can I answer the call from Joyce Poley's song to be a keeper of the earth? How can I keep myself on the edge of discomfort without becoming overwhelmed? How do we use those hammers and bells and songs? I'm here today because of my mother. When she was recovering from back surgery, when I was younger, we took long walks. And in that, she explained her value of taking only pictures and leaving only footprints, which ironically I found out recently is a slightly modified version of a statement by Chief Seattle, in which he said, take nothing but memories and leave nothing but footprints. I'm here today because of the church that I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, St. Luke's Episcopalian Church. I remember the burnt bread and burnt bacon, watery eggs and sugary coffee, but I more remember the music and the community. And I'm here today because of my childhood hero, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who even then I recognized as a builder of bridges. Each of these encourages me to push forward in the world. What we have seen of late is that these systemic issues, such as climate change, affect those on the margins first and with the greatest fury. Also COVID-19 and police brutality. The farmers in the videos that you just watched forced off their land in search of a new way of making a living. I would say that if you wanted to read more about this, a great place to start is a place called the Poor People's Campaign. On their website, under their section called Demands, it lays out these interlocking systems of oppression so well. from voter suppression to scapegoating of immigrants, to continued oppression of Native Americans, poor wages, lack of affordable housing, lack of health care, poverty, mass incarceration, ecological devastation, war and militarism, and a false moral narrative that focuses on prayer in schools and abortion and gun rights, rather than the thousands of people who die each year in this country from poverty. What are some of the results of this overlapping systems of oppression? Some of the ones that I'd like to highlight include that the Department of Justice admits that 95% of the prison growth since 2001 comes not from convicted offenders, but unconvicted defendants who are often unable to simply make bail. I think about the tribe of people known as the Biloxi, Chitimacha, Choctaw tribe, who live in a small island in Louisiana, who are being forced off their ancestral lands because of rising water and storms, and who now have a more difficult road to deal with their situations of poverty. I think about the fact that in Nevada, people of color, due to lack of affordable health care, have a higher prevalence of underlying conditions that make COVID-19 more of a threat. I think of, and many of you know, that Black men in this country are 2.5 times more likely than white men to be killed by the police in their lifetime, a permanent end to their hopes and dreams. Each of us works on the different issues like climate change or COVID-19 or police brutality, but all of us are working on the same systemic issues that causes these impacts. So in addition to knowing these facts, how do I personalize this? And Reverend Karen spoke about this in her homily in June, where she said, let's make it personal. And over time, I've had the opportunity to make some of these situations more personal. Many of you know I bike a lot. And that's because I came to the realization, as much as I like biking, I also know that a solution to the climate crisis is not 7 billion cars, even if they're electric. I've been working for Tu Casa Latina for a number of years now because I understand, or at least I can imagine, how incredibly frustrating and frightening it must be to deal with issues of domestic abuse or sexual trafficking without the benefit of the privileges that I enjoy. And I'm still working on personalizing the impact of policing in my community, given my inbred belief that policing is only about keeping peace in our community. And I know, given my position in society, that my actions have a compound effect, whether for good or for bad, to change stereotypes and to inspire others to action. But I also must assess my own capacity for action. There is so much uncertainty right now, so much less comfort. Grace and I talk about buckets of uncertainties, and I wonder, can I make mine larger, or does it have some space in it still? Can I push forward without causing myself pain from which I must recoil? My wonderful yoga instructor, Jen, teaches me that when I go into practice each week, I must press myself to the edge of discomfort to advance my practice, but not to the point of pain, which would cause me to avoid practice in the future. So I assess my capacity for pushing forward and practicing and pushing myself to the limit. Sometimes I do that with guilt, sometimes with forgiveness, and sometimes with inspiration. If you are feeling the loss and uncertainty at this time and wondering how to move forward, let me encourage you to consider regrounding yourself in those experiences and values that have passed inspire you to act in the world. Let me encourage you to consider how you were personally connected to these systemic injustices. Let me encourage you to evaluate yourself and your capacity to push forward and take those actions that will address these systemic injustices in the world and inspire others to do the same. and know that working on each systemic injustice will build a foundation of a new and better society. Now, as it happens, and not coincidentally, we have an immediate opportunity to take action and address some of these injustices right here in Nevada. As many of you may know, there's a special legislative session going on right now to deal with the budget crisis for the state of Nevada. Well, let me just say that I was surprised to read that they are considering cutting back on healthcare during a pandemic and cutting back on education, which is woefully underfunded here in Nevada. I wonder if they could spend some time trying to think about how to address injustices rather than worsening them. How about reducing funding for policing, the death penalty, and incarceration? How about considering new sources of income rather than cutting funding from badly needed programs? Please join me and many of our Action members this week and contact your legislator and demand that they protect our most vulnerable citizens. In so many ways, we are being called to action. Let us hear that call, internalize it, and respond to the limits of the capacity for action. Blessed be, and amen.
This is the time of the service when we have our community prayer and meditation time. A time to ask, how are you feeling in this moment? What's on your mind? This is the time in our service when we have the opportunity to share either quietly or with each other our hopes, our concerns, our worries, our sorrows. If you're comfortable doing so, post your thoughts in the chat box. Then we can hold each other in our hearts. Spirit of life, thanks for this moment that we can share with one another our joys and our concerns. I would like to invite you all to do a meditation with me today. I want you to put a hand on your heart, and then I want you to hold up your other hand out facing to the world. Together, we're going to take 3 deep, wholehearted breaths. While on each exhale, we are going to slowly chant Om together. As we do this, pay attention to how the vibration resonates in your body. Feel how it vibrates outward to our UU community and indeed to the entire world. Feel how our connection to each other as all our Om vibrations interconnect and reach all the corners of the earth. Consider if it's possible for the flap of a butterfly's wings to cause a tsunami across the world. So here, let's inhale together deeply. And exhale, Om. Inhale. Inhale again. Namaste.
Thank you for joining us for this week's service. Please be sure to watch your email inbox for our newsletter for all of the UUFNN news, updates, and happenings, including a new anti-racist book club starting this week. If you are not receiving our emails and would like to, please fill out the online card with your information. If you need help with Zoom or life in general, or if you know of someone who does, enter your name in the chat box and we can reach out to you. We hope to see you next week for a live Emma's Revolution concert in our service. You're welcome to stay on after service for coffee hour and breakout rooms. Remember to be kind and stay safe.
Our closing benediction today. May you find peace in the uncertainty. May you find a clarity of purpose. May you find the strength to move forward. May our community and connection and shared covenant continue to help us build bigger buckets and lessen the uncertainty in them. Our worship is over. May our service begin.